I think it's...
You've got him till the end of the season. Why not use him?
Well, honestly, that's not my issue with Arsenal. When I look at Iwobi, Lacazette, Aubameyang, I don't look at those three players and go, you're massively underperforming, you're not delivering. And I quite like the fact that they're leaning on Alex Iwobi quite a bit, because he is obviously the future. He is what they're going to need moving forward. So from a manager's point of view, I might as well work on that. And I might as well get him to be playing the way I want to play if Aaron Ramsey's not part of my plans.
Is Iwobi good enough to be the future at Arsenal, do you think?
I think this is the first season I would look at him and go, he's developed and he seems to have improved. He don't score enough goals, he don't create enough goals, which will always be an issue, and that's what he needs to improve on. But his performances have gone in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. So, and if he's doing what the manager asks of him, I don't see why he should bow to just big names on the sake of them being big names.
I think, well, we showed you the graphic earlier, didn't we, about Unai Emery's first 22 games compared to Arsene Wenger's first 22 last season. Now, let's compare Klopp against Rodgers. Now, he's going a little bit off track, if you like, but you know, Jurgen Klopp, new to the job, his first 22 games compared to Rodgers' last 22. In actual fact, he was 2 points worse off than Brendan Rodgers was in his last 22 games. So the idea here is that over time,
yeah, of course,
Unai Emery might be the man to get it right. He's taken Jurgen Klopp how many transfer windows to sort out his defence? We talked about Arsenal's defence being the weak link. It's something that they really need to improve on. Jurgen Klopp must have recognised that himself as well. And it's taken him how many transfer windows to get it as he wants it.
Yeah, whether Unai Emery will have the resources that Jurgen Klopp has had though in terms of finances, I'm not so sure. So it'd probably be a far more difficult job. I don't think, you know, you don't
think Arsenal could go out and spend 70 million on a Virgil van Dijk, say?
No, I don't think
they haven't got that resource.
Well, they obviously got Lacazette, and I think that's where a lot of the money went into, which is why they're finding themselves short for this specific window.
But in the summer.
Well, you know, people forget Liverpool sold Coutinho for £140 million, and that's where a lot of their finances came from. You know, to build the other parts of the team, like the goalkeeper, and bringing in Keita and and Shaqiri and adding to it. And I feel like Arsenal needs that. Do they have a £140 million player? No, I don't think they do. He
had a style of play though, Jurgen Klopp, didn't he? He wanted to play 4-3-3.
Yes,
that was his way of playing. He's done it all the way. Whereas Unai Emery's been chopping and changing, hasn't he? He's played a back four, back five.
I think this this for me is about a vision. And I think at Liverpool, the reason why the fans can look at these numbers and go, I don't really care. He could have been, you know, this number could say 22 points as far as Liverpool fans are concerned. They would still go, listen, this guy, I know for a fact he's playing the way that I want my football club to play.
So do Arsenal fans have that? Do Arsenal fans have that same vision about Unai Emery?
I believe they do. Yeah, I think they look at the team and I think they know where their frailties are. They like what he stands for, Unai Emery, and they believe in him in terms of the way that he wants to play football. And they feel where the breakdown will come is if the club don't financially back him. If the club don't back Unai Emery, then that connection will break down because the team will suffer, and that will come onto the manager's shoulders. But if they back him and he goes, right, you know, here's 40, 50, 200 million quid, go and create a team that can challenge, I feel like those Arsenal fans will say, give it him, back him, because I've liked what I've seen so far.
Interesting. One man that's retiring at the end of the season, Petr Cech. He's now second choice at Arsenal. Where does he rank for you in terms of the Premier League goalkeepers?
It's been amazing, hasn't he? He really has, and it's a weird one. I was thinking about this earlier, and you know, right now he's top three. You know, no doubt in my mind. With regards to, we think about probably what Schmeichel, De Gea is in there now as well, and himself. They are. You know, he's right at the top of that, as we can see with regards to clean sheets. But you know, you can also see that in kind of like 5 to 10 years' time, because the game's changed completely. All of a sudden, we're looking at it. Weirdly enough, I'm like, well, was he good enough with his feet? You know, can he do what Edison can do? Can he do it? So you know, in 5, 10 years' time, you start to analyse goalkeepers completely different. But there's no doubt he's been one of the greatest goalkeepers, if not the, that the Premier League has seen.
Who's up there with him? Peter Schmeichel, David De Gea right now?
Right now, I think, yeah, I do think so. They all bring different elements. I feel like, you know, since Schmeichel, in, you know, that early Premier League years, this guy was the guy. He came along and we all went, he's the new one. He's the closest we've seen to that level of dominance as a goalkeeper.
The agility. different shape.
Definitely, but he also played, behind one of the best back fours that we've seen in the Premier League as well. But yeah, there's no doubt that he played his part in making sure that Chelsea side, he added to it. He added points to the board basically by some great saves and the way he dominated and commanded that.
Do you think he's going out at the right time?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think there are, like we just spoke about there, the elements to what it's like to be a footballer and a goalkeeper now, or what it takes. It's not just saving shots anymore, is it? And I think we saw the frailties in him trying to adapt to that at the start of the season. And I think it's good for him to go out on a high as well. Don't get me wrong, he could go anywhere in the league right now, but I feel like he's done it at the right time.
Yeah, no, you can't argue. Petr Cech, definitely one of the best goalkeepers that the Premier League's ever seen. We can hear now from the Arsenal manager, Unai Emery, who's been speaking to the press, and he was asked, inevitably, about Mesut Ozil.
Is there any chance that he will leave the club this month? Any chance?
I am not thinking about that. I am thinking how he can help us. And he helped us sometimes this year with good performance. Another moment with not good performance, but like another player. And another moment he had injuries and not okay to play the matches. And now, after these 2 weeks working with a normality, maybe this Saturday can be okay for us.
Has it been a frustrating situation for you then with Mesut?
But I like to create the same spirit for all. And the same spirit is every player get and give us consistently work a consistently moment with a performance, but it's not easy. Sometimes you are better, sometimes you are worse. And with every player I am working and speaking about that the same. And the most important for me is how he can help us, how every player can help us with being consistently and also when they are okay for to do the training every day and for play the matches when it's coming.
Be interesting to see what he does this weekend, though, won't it, with Mesut Ozil? Said he might be okay for this weekend.
Sounded like he was playing to me.
Did it?
I think so, yeah. I think the feeling was that, the last couple of weeks have been good for him. He's obviously integrated him back into the team. I think after hearing that, it would surprise me if he's not starting that game.
All eyes would be on the team sheet then. Who would he come into? Especially if he plays the back three like this.
I mean, I don't think he will play a back three personally. I mean, I'd move it around. I'd definitely have something that looked a little bit more
back four.
Yeah, like that, and then kind of probably you'd then look at changing that situation. So you go in with your normal back four.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I think he could even do something
4-3-3.
like that. And then that's where Mesut Ozil maybe does come into the system, maybe, or he might even just do it a bit more kind of like in that type of system, but without Kolasinac in it, with that being Iwobi. He could do something like that. So I mean, I prefer something like that for them to play. Go and play this Chelsea team. I think there are gaps for them to expose, and it just gives them the freedom.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what team Arsenal selects. Also, it'll be interesting to see what team Maurizio Sarri picks for Chelsea as well. Interesting comments last week, weren't there, about Jorginho saying that if he had the chance and he had Fabregas on the bench, he might well have changed him.
He's there. He's right. He's to the right, mate. He's just to the right there. The best defensive midfield player in the world. Go and put him in his position. I mean, it's ridiculous. You've got the riches of riches when it comes to midfield players who can play in that area of the pitch. I mean, you could even go as far to say, you're crying about it. You could go with Christensen and put David Luiz in there if you wanted to. I mean, I couldn't accept it. I really couldn't. It annoyed me to a point that not only has he just sold Fabregas to Monaco, who's one of the greatest, who could sit in there probably for another 5 years and do what Jorginho does, but he's complaining about it. So yeah, it was strange to me, very strange.
Let's have a look at him then last week, Jorginho, because his position, yes, but it affects others around him as well.
Yeah.
This was his very first touch of the game. Lacking a bit of confidence. You see what he's trying, can't you? Just overhits the pass.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, adding to it, it didn't make it any better. So it's like, kind of having Koscielny, Mustafi and Socrates in there, it's like passing on the responsibility a little bit. Whereas I think if they'd have played with the 4, which I think he'll revert to eventually.
Have they got a good enough organiser in that back line, do you think? Someone who talks you through the game. That Liverpool, Van Dijk, this season, the difference he's made.
If Koscielny isn't that person, then he shouldn't be at the football club, as far as I'm concerned, because he's been there, he must have been there nearly 10 years now, you know, Laurent Koscielny. So, and he's the French captain as well. If he's not the leader back there, then I don't get what his role is.
3 clean sheets all season. Now, you mentioned the not taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Now, this is, I think, is a clear case of that. You look at the defence, you've got 3 centre-backs up against 1 striker in Arnautovic. So, you'd be saying, actually, Kolasinac can push in tight.
Yeah.
Yes,
Definitely.
Maitland-Niles can push in if you needed be.
Yeah.
And just do your jobs.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, look, on this side here, where Maitland-Niles is, you don't blame him. The ball's on this side; he can cover around.
Yeah.
But just here, you know, you obviously mentioned he can go in there and press if he wants to, and that's what he's asking. I think Xhaka.
He's already marking someone.
Yeah, he's pointing at Xhaka to say come in there, and I think we both made the point that even if he runs past him, he might change the angle of who he goes to press. You know, he might go and press in there. The reality, but the biggest thing that I can see, they all seem to be scared of this scenario here, right? And
there's not a lot of pace, is there, in that back line?
It's not a lot of pace, but you've got a lot of cover. You know, it's going to take a lot. You got cover everywhere.
That's the organisation I'm talking about, though, because Koscielny really should be talking to him, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
That's an action, saying to him, go on, you can go, because I'm actually doing that
100%.
job. No, I can do that. I can fill in there.
But you know what? It just should work like clockwork anyway. It should work like clockwork. It should be a situation where, right, you're in. So he hasn't got as much time on the ball. You know, you go flying into there if you have to. And you can close people down in a way. Like Iwobi's angle, for example, probably give you a better example. If Iwobi closes Diop down on this type of angle here, you know, that ball to Zabaletta's not on anymore. So you're forcing them infield, you're pressing in. These like kind of simple movements that they didn't seem to get. Everything was half a second late, and also there's a lot of kind of finger pointing. You do it, and when that happens, you get caught out.
Yeah, and Zabaletta's not exactly going to run you down the channel anyway, is he? Look, Arnautovic makes that run eventually, and he still gets the ball anyway. Yeah. So they've even got into that space without doing your job properly.
Yeah, precisely.
I think that one of the talking points with Arsenal has been maybe a lack of creativity in midfield. Now, this is good play, really good play. Good position, Iwobi picks himself up. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Mesut Ozil in that position, or maybe Aaron Ramsey even, do they find that pass to Kolasinac now?
Look, I do think they find that pass.
It doesn't look a difficult pass.
The disappointing thing for me, if I just kind of take this back and pause it, probably as he receives the ball. So it's
a great position he gets himself.
It's a great position he gets himself into. As he receives the ball here, I think we all know. I think Ozil knows at this point, and so regardless of anything, you know, he's got a picture already of what's happening, and he knows where the space is on the pitch, and he knows the space is here. You know, this is where all the space is for somebody to run into. So I honestly think actually that he's already kind of on the swivel, and he's thinking, I'm turning here.
That's my ball.
He's 1v1. He's probably clocked it already, whereas Iwobi...
Well, actually, it's actually quite nice as well to see the wing-backs in this position, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maitland-Niles and Kolasinac trying to get forward as well.
That's weird. I mean, Kolasinac, essentially, I mean, is it Kolasinac?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. He is essentially... He's much closer to being a winger than he is a defender, from what I've seen anyway.
Agreed.
I think he enjoys going forward, not as much as he...
And actually, in this Arsenal team, that is the width as well, because you've got Iwobi who wants to come into the middle, you've got Aubameyang that wants to come centrally as well.
Yeah.
They don't really want to play out wide. They want to get involved in the play. So your width is the wing-backs. They've got to get forward, haven't they?
So it's just noticing, I suppose, that, you know, because the pass is brilliant, the position is brilliant, but has Iwobi got a picture at this point as what is best right now? And I think that... it's not something... I don't want to really kind of... I quite like the way Iwobi's played for Arsenal this year, and I think this is a positive from Iwobi's point of view, going to take responsibility, but there's no doubt that, you know, Mesut Ozil has got more experience and better quality in those areas of the pitch.
Just mentioned that the wide players like to come inside, and there's Iwobi, central, Aubameyang, coming central, getting around Lacazette, and again, it's Kolasinac getting further forward. Now, approach play's good.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's nice football.
That's what I mean. Look at that for a ball from...
I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop it here. What's on?
What's on? Bang, there.
That's the only that is the only option, isn't it?
Well, he could go there. I mean, obviously the picture changes. You know, with the quality he has, he could do.
But it's a shot on goal. It's a shot on goal, sure.
I'm thinking shoot right now, purely and simply because these players, Aubameyang doesn't kind of make that definitive run for me. He doesn't really, drive into that back post and be like, find me. So, the obvious ball that he is looking for is he's looking probably for this, and that makes no sense to me. I know it kind of runs on and he eventually ends up in probably a situation around here, but...
Let's play it on and see what he does do.
He's got to hit that.
He has to hit it, doesn't he?
He has to hit it, and I think, Fabianski will be rubbing his hands together there, going, well, nothing to say.
Defensively, now, are you a fan of having everybody back at set pieces?
Not really, no. And weirdly enough, if I'm going to have everybody back, I'll tell you one thing I'm definitely doing. I'm having somebody on the posts, in this type of area here, back or near. So it's strange that not only has he got everybody back, but nobody's kind of covering these key areas. So
we've actually conceded the second least from set pieces this season, so we shouldn't be too critical. But I think when you've got people like, so we've got Aubameyang in this position, we've got Lacazette at the near post, they don't really want to defend it particularly, do they? You might as well take them up the pitch, mightn't you?
It's like you said. I mean, you don't break.
but they're doing okay.
But they're doing okay. Broken, do you? So
it's Lacazette, little flick clearance. This is the goal, though. All of a sudden now you've got Lacazette 1v1 against Felipe Anderson. No one picking up in the box. Nasri, great touch. Declan Rice finishes it off.
I think it's difficult to really kind of have a go at that type of situation. It was just, it's a lot of second balls, a lot of kind of being in the right place at the right time.
There's your winger, Kolasinac.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
Well, that's where he likes to be, and that is, that's good play from Arsenal's point of view, playing on the counter-attack. It's just they didn't do it enough in this particular game, and in the early stages they actually looked pretty dangerous, but as the game kind of went on and on and on, West Ham started to kind of find their way into it, and he would not be happy with their response from that, I don't think.
He's not afraid of making big decisions, is he? And
no.
You've mentioned it about Mesut Ozil as well. He's been quite happy to leave him out even of the squad as well. Have you been surprised by that? Let's go to the home team.
Yeah, I think some of them are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Personally.
Because actually, I look at this and I think that is the perfect position for Mesut Ozil. It's effectively a number 10 position.
Yeah, it is, but he's obviously not doing something that the manager demands, and that which from the player's point of view is a respect thing, and the team are suffering on the basis of Mesut Ozil not doing what the manager wants, as far as I'm concerned. Nobody's ever questioned his ability. Nobody's ever questioned the talent, and that Arsenal would be a better team with him in it. But the problem is you can't look at Alex Iwobi doing what he's doing in training, when he's doing the job, doing it well, and actually he's improved a lot this year, and then say, well, I'm just going to bin you on the sake of your name, because that's kind of what you're saying.
Is he doing that? Because actually, ability-wise, you just said it, Mesut Ozil's ahead of Iwobi, isn't he?
He is, as an individual, but the impact on the team might take the performance down in comparison to what Alex Iwobi can do. So it is the difficult place that he finds himself. I personally feel like find somewhere for him, definitely. Or I do. Whether you adapt your system or what, you get him in there.
One of the worries, I think, this season for Arsenal is that they lose Ramsey at the end of the season on a free transfer. It looks like that's going to happen. And Mesut Ozil, two really creative players, isn't it? What about Aaron Ramsey? Would you find a place for him in the team?
It don't make sense to me at the minute. I think he's a good player, but when you're about to lose him, it does. If you've categorically said you're not going to be, he's not going to be part of the things going forward.
Okay, complete opposite to Mesut Ozil, though. Attitude from Aaron Ramsey seems to have been spot on, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Would you perhaps do more to keep Aaron Ramsey? Would you than say Mesut Ozil? Maybe be reluctant. All right, we'll let Mesut Ozil go, but I think Aaron Ramsey will give him what he wants and we'll keep him.
If they could let Mesut Ozil go, they would let him go. I'm pretty sure they would. But who else is going to give him 350 grand a week? That's not going to happen. Which is why, they've got a player that they're stuck with. When it comes to Aaron Ramsey,
I think you've touched on it, that it affects people around him, and I think it's affecting N'Golo Kante's position massively. Now he's got options here on the ball, Jorginho, and namely, Azpilicueta, acres of space out on the right-hand side just to try and switch play. But I think just through this clip, just watch N'Golo Kante and what he does, because this is the position that, and there he is, this is the position that he wants to play, really, where Jorginho's playing, and
Yeah.
where N'Golo Kante is probably best. So they win it back, Chelsea. N'Golo Kante's still not moved. He's in a position. He's in a position where he's looking really to be getting in the box, isn't he? He's that.
That's the funny thing I was going to look at. Like, where do you go? Do you know, it's like it's right by his side. I mean, I totally agree with you, but I feel like I mean, where does he go? Does he make a run into there when you've got all these bodies kind of like cluttered up in there? I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I feel like he feels like he's not going to get the ball, which is why he's probably standing still.
He's got so much energy in N'Golo Kante.
Of course he has, yeah.
I don't mind even if he makes this run and gets himself right into the box as well.
When you look at what's behind him, that's probably what he should be doing, really. And, you know, the amount of times we have seen, though, you know, Azpilicueta drift into that type of area, you know, cross into the box, back post, goal. You know, I mean, Azpilicueta at one point had the most assists. Well, but if for some reason, this guy dictates...
If N'Golo Kante runs him off this way, then that ball out to Azpilicueta is actually on.
Well, if he plays it, which I think is the bigger problem. I think the problem is Kante and Azpilicueta are not moving on the basis that they don't think they're going to get the ball.
And what about Jorginho's range of passing as well? Is it, at the moment, just a bit safe? 5 and 10 yard passes?
It's what he's been asked to do. He may have a bigger range, but I've not seen it. I've not seen him hit that Fabregas ball, which I think is why he's had, you know, over 2,000 passes in the league and not one assist, because he plays safe. He plays 5 yard passes. He plays 10 yard passes, but it's what the manager asks him to do, so you can't have a go at him. It's the way that he operates.
Right. In this sort of position now, if this was, I don't know, Fabregas on the ball right now, what movements would we see from Chelsea's front three?
You'd see the natural kind of, I think you've got a run in there for, you know, a delivery kind of that type. Sorry, a delivery of that type in there over the top. You've got, sorry, press pause, 1 sec. You've got also...
Well, Pedro's body shape. Pedro's body shape to me says he's not really looking for it. And it, you know, potentially he's on to make that run, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Willian stood still, as you say. That run is on. And also, I'm going to point out this. Now that is Diego Costa, and he would make that run. He'd be spinning in there. He'd be looking to get in behind, because Fabregas, he knows that Fabregas will pick him out. What they've got at the moment is a problem. They've got a problem with Jorginho. They've also got a problem with who they play up front, and this is Hazard's position. He doesn't want to play there, does he?
No.
He wants to be involved in the play. He wants to get on the ball. He wants to get turned. He wants to play people in. He wants little 1-2s, hold people off, dribble. He doesn't want to play up against the centre half.
It's not where he's best. Yeah, it's not where he's best, and you know, if you actually look at that Newcastle defensive line, they're not having to pick anybody up. So Chelsea, as it stands right now, are not having an impact on, you know, on things going forward from an attacking point of view. So we all know it's something they need to sort out, but when Jorginho picks up the ball, maybe they just don't feel like he's going to do it, which is why they don't move.
He ends up playing safe, went out wide, and they gave the ball away. Again, Kante in that position, just 5 yards away from him.
Yeah.
Now, he's got 2 options here. Early ball. Can we bang it out? As Azpilicueta's made that run out on the right-hand side. Not a difficult pass, I don't think, particularly.
No.
All right, N'Golo Kante, give him the ball. If you're going to give N'Golo Kante the ball, what's he going to do? Well, you think, get on the half turn, try and get turned and try and play forward. Tell him he's got time even. What happens? Just gets it straight back and ends up going backwards again. He's saying to N'Golo Kante to turn. And again, I feel a little bit of sympathy, really, for N'Golo Kante, because it's not his position, really.
Not, no.
He wants to play with his face in the play, really, doesn't he, rather than his back to play.
Exactly that.
Now, he goes back again, under real pressure. Goes all the way back. And I'm going to stop it when it comes to David Luiz, because, you know, we're talking about Jorginho, that range of passing, what's on. Now, David Luiz gets the ball. Straight away, I'm going to take it back and watch Willian. You know, he said he stood still moments ago when Jorginho got the ball. All of a sudden now, he's making that little drift. Can I get in? Look, he's trying. Alonso then makes the run forward down the left-hand side. So there's movement ahead of him, and he tries a difficult pass, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Tries to cut them open.
Yeah, he's one of the best at it, David Luiz, which is, you know, I've played with players that you just move as soon as they get on the ball. Manobi Solano at Newcastle, just when he gets on it, you make a run, because you know he's gonna find you, or he's gonna try to find you.
Bit of time and space, run from Hazard, and he gets it wrong. He's having a difficult spell, isn't he, Jorginho? But he is Sarri's man.
It's falling within Chelsea's performances, unfortunately, and I blame the manager, because the manager is the one that is deciding that they don't need a centre-forward at the minute, and he's been stubborn about it when he's got two very capable centre-forwards on the bench. So his team are suffering on the basis of the manager's decisions not to play a centre-forward, which worked for him at times at Napoli, granted, with Mertens through the middle, but at the minute at Chelsea, they're missing that focal point.
You mentioned David Luiz and how he's got the ability to hit that longer pass.
Yeah.
You're not sure that Jorginho's even got it.
We don't know, no, we don't.
David Luiz, when he picks the ball up, we've seen it. Kante, movement.
Yeah.
Can I get in behind it? Yes, I can, because he knows it's coming. He's in a position to get in behind. Again, time and space on the ball. You can't really allow David Luiz that much time and space, but he's on the move. Willian, looking to get in behind. Big diagonal ball. This is what you're talking about, potentially playing in midfield, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's a player I think takes a lot of stick, but from a talent point of view, again, and not one that you can question, because he has this type of ability to just pick out passes that a centre midfielder can pick out. And what it seemed is one of their own centre midfielders don't seem to be able to pick that pass out, or it's not his job to do it, one of the two. But there's no doubt that Chelsea team, or that front line, comes to life more when David Luiz is on the ball.
Well, this is, I think, quite telling, really, because he's looking and he's got Jorginho next to him here. And actually, he still plays the ball, doesn't he? This is what Jorginho really is, the position he's in the team to do that, isn't he?
You know what?
He's supposed to be the playmaker.
Unless he can't do it. Unless that is not his role. You know, I played with players that, short passing was their thing, tempo of the game, the flow of the game.
But if he's having a bad time, why doesn't Sarri take him out of the firing line then?
Depends what you
He's being stubborn, isn't he, that he's not going to play N'Golo Kante in that holding midfield position.
Oh, he's not going to change it. It depends what you class as a bad time for Jorginho, in my eyes, because if, for example, well, he's not had any assists, he don't score goals, he's not really a stopper like N'Golo Kante. No. So if, in my eyes, it would be, Sarri would look at it and go, say, consistently you get, as a number, 200 passes per game, which tells me you dictate the tempo of a game. If that number drops to 100, then you probably go in...
The numbers aren't changing. The numbers aren't changing too much. But even the manager said, didn't he, he was having a tough time. If I had Fabregas on the bench, he would have been off and Fabregas would have been on the pitch.
Yeah, but again, I think, look, I've not seen what Jorginho's bringing to the table, all the crazy stuff is about, that people are like loving too much, to be honest with you, or not loving. But when he says something like that, the manager, all I see, if I was that centre midfield player, my argument to my manager would be, but have you seen what's in front of me? We've just shown a few clips there of passes where, yes, there was one clip where there was a cluster of people, and he probably should have opened up and got it wide. Yep. That one pass is not going to make him have a good game. No. You know, we can't say that Jorginho doesn't kind of switch to play and get on the ball. Yeah, that's, he does that. But I don't feel like at the top end of the pitch, they're not functioning well. People aren't making runs when he's on the ball. People aren't looking to get into certain spaces. So he is limited. Right.
Top of the pitch, you said it's not functioning.
Yeah.
Hazard playing that centre-forward role. Morata looks like he's going to be leaving the club.
Yeah.
Giroud, not really his favourite. And it looks like Gonzalo Higuain, who he knows from his days at Napoli, may well be coming in on a loan until the end of the season. How good a move is that? Is that the right call?
Well, look, it's not gone well for him at Milan. Don't get me wrong, but I watched him last year for Juve against Tottenham in the Champions League, and he's got an odd shape to him. People think he's carrying some weight, but I'm telling you, he's so quick.
Sarri knows him well, though. Sarri knows him well, and his numbers in the season under Sarri were exceptional.
All of that. If I was a Chelsea fan, that would all worry me, right? Because you're just bringing people you know and how they play, which is great, right?
Yeah.
But can you not get other players to play your way then? Number one. And number two, what happens, when you leave? What state are you going to leave my football club in? At least kind of when you look at Jose or Antonio Conte, like they left championship teams. They left great teams for another manager to come into. Essentially, he's going, well, like, what's going to happen to Kante over the next couple of years? If he don't get to play in this position, like where he's favourite, I mean, is he just going to suffer it out?
Man City?
I think he could get phased out quite easily. It wouldn't surprise me to see him gone in the next few years.
Fernandinho's 33, Man City, 8 league games.
Well, I'd expect him to be getting 10 goals a season.
You'd expect him to get double figures?
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Kovacic probably not scored as many as he would like to have done.
No.
Loftus-Cheek, likewise, if you played Loftus-Cheek in that position, what, 10 10 goals?
You know, those are the numbers you're expected to get if you're an attacking midfield player because there's less...
But Kante's not going to get that, is he? It's not a natural position for him.
No, it's not. But I still, I'm baffled by the fact that why, if he's been that stubborn about it, just put them next to each other. It's really easy. Just, if you really love Jorginho that much, just play him in his position next to Kante. You play a 4-2 kind of 3-1 system with probably Giroud at the top, or it'll be that'll be Higuain, and that would be Willian, and you're sorted then. Do you know what I mean?
It actually looks a more attacking team. It looks a better balanced team as well, doesn't it? That
it amazes me that he will not go away from his system, and he will not go away from the Jorginho situation, obviously. But I mean, maybe help out Jorginho. Maybe help him out. Maybe he just feels. Maybe the team are looking at it and going, we're not playing the way we want to play. So
what do we think this weekend then at the Emirates? Who's going to come out on top in this one? Do you think it's a difficult one to call? I think
it is a tough one to call. I fancy Arsenal. I think if they can get their attacking game playing, they've done well against everybody this year, playing on the front foot.
You think that, and because it's at Arsenal, better at home.
I do, yeah. I think they'll be right up for this game. I do believe he'll make changes. I'd be surprised if Ozil or Ramsey is not in that. And I think they might get the better of this one.
Fascinating battle, isn't it? Both of them desperate to try and get into those Champions League places come the end of the season. Right, time for a break. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to West Ham. Great win against Arsenal last week, and they're looking to push up the table and perhaps finish as high as 7th. We'll do that when we come back.